maybe you should. No, I've got to get pizzas to that observatory over there. And so you get attacked by some like smoke monster, and you like the pizzas fall off, and you're like scrambling around, like, oh no, somebody needs the pepperoni.
So I'm swimming through 30-weight motor oil.
Why are these new additions to your game that your intention was to release this fall? What are you doing?
Their primary focus should be surviving litigation.
Someone take his phone. I'll do it. Just give me a key card and a red button that turns off Randy's Wi-Fi.
It pisses me off that they lump racing in with sports. Then you look at this insert F-bomb, Mario Kart and Sonic Racing lumped in with F125.
An aimless rant. We were just angry.
Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology.
Up, everybody. We are live again. 2026 is upon us, and we started off with a bit of a snafu, but we've got it corrected. So, yes, we are live. He is Jay of F1 Podcast fame. I'm Mason of Online Infamy, and we are the conversation at the fireworks stand behind you. Happy 2026 to you and yours. Happy holidays. I hope everybody had a good one. And, yeah, it is going to be a very hardcore casual 2026. Jay, how was your holiday?
Dude, my holiday was good. Obviously, I got to spend it with my boys, watched some movies, played some games, played some tabletop games. And when I say that, obviously, we just played one tabletop game, which was Magic. A lot of Magic gifts this year because the boys really kind of got hot and heavy into it. So had a good time with that. Obviously, we had Stranger Things going on and the Mighty Nine, and we'll get to that later.
We will certainly
holiday
talk.
Was good, man. Food was awesome. Eggnog was good, nice and cold, chilled. And it was just regular eggnog, dude. There was nothing in, there was no secret recipe eggnog this year.
No Martha Stewart eggnog?
No. So, yeah.
Did you ever see that video of Martha Stewart's eggnog recipe? Where she's like, you know, a cup of this and a cup of this and 2 cups of this. And it's like, my God, Martha, you're making straight up.
I love those memes where they do these, like, back to these, like, 70s and 80s cooking shows, and it shows a lady standing there. She's like, we're going to need 1.5 ounces of vodka. And she pours in, like, half the bottle. And then
I'm like, I think you mismeasured.
Yeah, they quick cut to a guy falling down the stairs. Like, you can't. Yeah. But, yeah, that's what Martha Stewart's reminds me.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, you can just eyeball it. I'm like, are you looking at it? Because I think you missed it. You know, like, you have long since passed the mark. Yeah, I have not even had eggnog in years, and I like eggnog. And I've actually not even ever had alcoholic eggnog, but I just like eggnog. But I have not even had eggnog in years and years and years. So I'm behind on that. But I now envy your eggnog on your holiday. But I had a good holiday as well. It's been
good, man.
Yeah. It's been fun, and the stars aligned to just completely throw us off because obviously we go live every Thursday, 6, 7 Central. 7, 8 Central. 8, 7 Central. My God, whatever. We go live at 7 o'clock, the Lord's time, and figure it out everywhere else. But for Thanksgiving, obviously a Thursday. Christmas this year was a Thursday, and we couldn't do it those days because of the holidays, but now here we are, the January 1st, also a Thursday, but as we discussed before coming on, not nearly as important. Don't have a lot of family things going on. So We are here in spite of all of that. And yeah, it's also a bit of a slow news time just because of the holidays. There's not going to be any big corporate decisions that a lot of people are going to get upset about because obviously you don't want to do that with the holidays. That's going to make you absolutely cannon fodder for the news media. And then any big news is just going to kind of get lost in the shuffle of Thanksgiving and Christmas and just the general holiday stuff. So, yeah, this is going to be more of a sort of a reflective time on the year that has been, a bit of a pondering of the year that is to come, some guesses, some predictions. And I don't know, just wherever we kind of feel like going. We all had some time off from work and things like that, so we've watched different things, and we'll talk about all those. And I have watched Avatar, Fire and Ash, and I like the Avatar series. Jay, however, is a very vocal
Opponent.
There you go. Opponent. That's a good, yeah. He's a very vocal opponent. So we'll talk about that, and I can spoil it because Jay's never gonna see it. So we'll talk a little bit about that later as well. But yeah, getting into it, in the lack of any big, earth-shattering news stories, what do you got on your list, Jay? Where do you want to start for our little New Year's extravaganza?
Well, it's weird because I'm looking through what I've got, and I would like to start since you opened up about the 2026. I think it's important that we look at the year we just left in 2025. And I got to tell you, we've brought up all the stuff we've loved, and we've brought up all the stuff that's either kind of tweaked our brain pans or whatever, but we didn't really talk about stuff that let us down. And I typically stay away from those things, but when I talk about leaving one year and moving into the next and what I want to improve on, I always look at my letdowns. And I had a few this year in relation to topics that we normally discuss on this show, man. So I don't know what your letdowns are, but I will open up with some games that I thought were going to be great that either turned out not great at all, or they were so... the hype was just not there, and I ended up not playing them. And for me, I'm probably the only strategy gamer in this tandem here.
It depends on the type of strategy. I do like a good strategy. It just depends on the type. Like if it's like RTS, obviously as a console gamer, that just eliminates that really as an option for me for the most part.
And it does. Well, like one of my favorites of all time is Sid Meier's Civilization, and there's not one Civ game I haven't played until this past year, because the reviews are terrible on it, and that was Civilization 7, to the point that I didn't even pick the game up, and normally I would have been beaten down the door at release date to pick it up. So that one for me was a big letdown. Also,
I'm curious. But before we go off of Civ, one thing that I'm curious about, because this is one of my kind of predictions for 2026. Whenever you talk about the reviews, now was this reviews from games media or from content creators on YouTube, or probably both, I'm assuming, but which one was it that really, swayed you to where you're like, you know what, I'm just going to sit this one out? Which reviews was it that really just made you decide to like just take the sideline?
So funny, it was none of those, although those did have some sway. It was one of my best friends in the whole world that I grew up with. And there's 4 of us. It's our version of Stranger Things, basically. But there was 4 of us.
There's a joke that popped into my mind that I am going to not touch right now.
Good. So 2 of us are huge RTS gamers, and specifically Sid Meier's fans. In fact, we played the tabletop version of Civ. And every now and then we still get together no matter where in the world we are. And it's always funny. The other 2, you'll see us the first time we bring up a Sid Meier's game, the other 2 money will switch hands because they bet on how long it would take before we started talking about Civilization. And I talked to him about Civ 7. He already had it. And he was like, dude, avoid this thing. It is a dumpster fire. Just go back to 6.
What were some of the changes that you think kind of derailed? I mean, we've obviously talked at length about our issues with Assassin's Creed and whatever we've released those on the channel. So what are the things that you think Civ has kind of like, chased that took it away from what it used to be?
Oddly enough, they did what we've talked about on this show multiple episodes, and they didn't listen to their fan base, and they didn't bring in their fan base. In fact, they dumbed the game down, so there's not as many levels of detail. And if you're somebody that likes those games, the details matter. I hate to sound like Jack Reacher there, but in an RTS game, details matter. And not being able to dig down to the finest detail and play the min-max game of, hey, is it going to be more profitable for me to send a settler to a new province or send this small army to take this province. And in fact, you couldn't even get down to that level now. It was like it just spits out people, and you're just kind of sending them there. That just killed it, man. They wanted to make it more accessible, but what they did was run off their entire fan base.
And just like we've said about the modern audience, there is no modern audience. The same thing applies to the broader audience. There's no broader audience.
Right.
Make your game. If it's good, people will come.
Right.
If it's not, you'll lose what you've already got. That's the people will find a good game. You don't have to appeal to a broader audience. That's one of the biggest lies. So just like the modern audience is a lie for movies and shows, the broader audience is a lie for video games. If you take an RTS and you say, we'll simplify mechanics, we will streamline these things, we will make this easier for a first timer or somebody to wrap their head, it doesn't matter. That's not what's going to attract them to the thing. What's going to attract them to the thing is, the overall package, the response from the people that love it, the people that are going to be your evangelists, and then whatever other things that you do with it, that's going to be what draws them in. And if they're drawn in, they'll learn. We live in the age of the internet. If there's something that confuses them, they'll Google it.
Yeah.
How does this mechanic work? And they'll watch YouTube. I've done that so many times on games whenever I've come in late, as I come in on a later entry, and I've had to look stuff up online. I'm like, hey, how does this mechanic work? How does this go? And I'll find my answers, and I want to know those answers because I like the package that you've provided. This whole broader audience thing, it's a lie. It doesn't exist, man. Just make your good game. You will attract the people, and if there's something they don't understand, they'll figure it out. Yeah.
And it's super sad because every Civilization game has a big old button that looks like an open book that you could click on called the Civilopedia. And if there's something you're trying to do, it's in there. And the other piece of it that really pissed me off is the game looks gorgeous, man. I mean, it looks great. Now I'm not going to play it. I'm not going to play it because there's no fixing that. That's a deep coding issue at this point.
They're committed to it. The hat's over the fence.
Yeah.
Like there's no taking it back at this point. Okay, sorry. So go ahead. Your next one.
Oh, my next one was Ghost of Yotei.
Oh, yeah. That one's on mine as well.
I have stayed out of that conversation you've been having with Alex just to let you guys have your thing. But I
will say, though, that Alex
happy.
did eventually say, he's like, now that I finished it, I kind of agree with you.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah. He told whenever we were at your place and you were showing me how to do Magic, the card game. Yeah, he was like, now that I finished it, I kind of agree with your point of view on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, and I watched a lot of him playing it because he wanted it and I got it for him or whatnot. But I wish it had been more. And I realize I'm probably in the minority on that, but I wish it had been more of what we had.
I don't think that you're in the minority, man. I really don't. And I really don't think that I'm in the minority either. It's one of those things. It looked incredible. It sounded amazing. Like the audio, which is actually one thing that I will say was even better in Ghost of Yotei than it was in Ghost of Tsushima, was this really like signature sound. Like they had these like Japanese, like it's not called the steel guitar. I don't remember what the instrument's called.
Yeah.
But it was a very distinct sound. And, that would be pulled into the sound that was going on. The sound was amazing. So, yeah, it looked great. It sounded incredible. The battle systems and mechanics were still there. They even added some new things like blacksmithing.
The visuals look fantastic.
Yeah, and they even added things like blacksmithing, where you could actually like blacksmith a blade. You could build your blade that you were going to use. They added a lot of really interesting stuff, and the wolf, for example, calling in the wolf companion and all of that. And then that's one of the things where you have all of these pieces, but if that doesn't always mean that you make all these things good and it just adds up. It's the story. The story was what was really lacking. It was just really uninspired. And again, I will say they should have followed what they started with Jin. They set Jin up. They should have gone with that because what they delivered I haven't finished it yet. Alex obviously has. I kind of put it on my back burner after I started. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm not super into this, but the story was uninspired and kind of well tread. So much like Ghost of Tsushima beat Assassin's Creed to the punch on their location and the story beats and all that stuff. Ghost of Yotei, a whole bunch of other games had beaten it to its particular story, not the least of which was Assassin's Creed Shadows. So yeah, it just suffered from the story. Everything else was great. All these mechanics that they had already established were still there. They added new things, which is what you want. You want to see things kind of evolve and change and be added to as you go on. But the story was just what was uninspired. And despite all these other things being solid, having a standard or lackluster story just weighed it all down because we had come to expect so much more just from what we got in Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, man, it's well, you're a big wrestling fan.
I am,
and I used to be until all my heroes are now gone. And when I say my era was Gen 1 Rock, Stone Cold, Triple H still doing the blowing the water out, Undertaker with the 33-pound head and his monkey ass tattoos, and the Big Slow. Those were my years. And to me, those years of entrance music were amazing. The Undertaker, the Kid Rock with the hoopty coming. I mean, just really good entrance. But you look at those games that I'm talking about that let us down, and it's like they had this fantastic entrance music, and then like somebody walks out of the curtain and you're like, wait, what? It just didn't fit. Yep. And Yotei's one of those. It had all that pedigree coming, right? And so, pardon the pun with the pedigree term, but
Triple H's finisher for those that might not get the.
So, but instead of Triple H walking out on the stage, it was like Joe Blow Heel from your
Marty Sparks making his way to the ring. You're like, fucking right? Who?
So, and then I wanted to put AC Shadows on here, but we've beat.
I had them on my list. We can go ahead because AC Shadows was definitely on my list of disappointments because we had talked about now ad nauseum we've talked about our issues with not only the current direction of just Assassin's Creed in general, but even specifically Shadows. And that was one where it's like I had hoped that they would not do what they did. And then even once we knew that they were going to do what they did, I was hoping that the story and everything else would pay it off and make it worth it. And it didn't. And the gameplay's not there. And it's the same thing that we've gotten before. And so yeah, I had that on my disappointments list. I keep hoping that the next game that they put out will save Assassin's Creed, and every time it just pushes them further and further down.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned in our comments section to one person, I feel that Assassin's Creed is maybe not quite at that precipice yet, but they are going the direction of the MCU, where they kept making these poor decisions and not listening to the feedback of the fan base, and the games kept selling, and they thought, well, the games are selling, so all this stuff that we're hearing, all this feedback that we're hearing doesn't matter because they're selling, when in fact what they were selling or what they were cashing in on was the goodwill of all these previous games. It was the goodwill from the initial trilogy and Black Flag and all of that, and now though they've cashed out. Like I think they have come to the end of that goodwill, just like the MCU did. Now the MCU is, and this is the thing that we'll talk about a little bit later in the show whenever we come to like the media aspect. The MCU is pivoting. The MCU got to the point where, do they want to do this? No, but they have to if they want to survive. Now they've got to listen to the fans, and it looks like they are going to. And Assassin's Creed, I don't know if they are at that point yet. I think they're at the point where they're probably going to give us at least one more lackluster game where they do it their way. And unfortunately, maybe two if Resync goes the way that Black Flag Resync goes the way that it's been rumored to go. But if those go poorly, they're for sure going to be in the point of that the MCU's in, where they're either going to have to pivot or they will slowly die every entry.
Yeah, and I mean, I absolutely agree with you, and I think it's bad, even for their game that was doing decent until Shadows launched, which was Mirage. I felt like it had an uninspired lead character, but from what I could tell, the reviews on it are actually pretty good. That it's kind of old school, almost Assassin's Creed 1 style, but I feel like it's catching shade from AC Shadows. But I digress.
Well, if you want to talk a little bit, I'll get your thoughts on this. Speaking of Assassin's Creed, before we move on, there's now rumors that they're going to be doing an Assassin's Creed Hex is the code name or the name that's being thrown around right now, which is going to take place during the witch trials, but I believe it's in the UK that they're going to be doing it. So not the Salem witch trials, but during the thing, just the broader sort of effect that had in
like
the UK.
Inquisition or
during that
side
era
of it.
And but the thing that scares me whenever I hear it, because it's like you have a good form, or like the good formula is there. It's now been put on the back burner. It's hidden behind all these other systems that you have, but it's there if you want to revisit it. What they are talking about for this Assassin's Creed Hex game is basically Batman, where the main character is going to be a woman, which is fine. I don't give a shit. It can be a woman. I don't care. But the whole thing is like, oh, well, since it's during the witch trials and it's a woman, well, that's going to have these things that she'll have to deal with, and that she will try to use trickery and paranoia and fear to play that against her opponents.
Talk to me.
Swear to me. Where it's just like, okay, like, does this sound like a cool game? Yeah. Does it sound like a cool Assassin's Creed game? No, it does not. That's not what assassins aren't supposed to torment and make their opponent. They're supposed to kill the person before the person even knows they're there. That's what the assassin's supposed to do. So I feel like they are trying to get too creative within the Assassin's Creed. If you want to get way out there, just do your own game. Or do a different game. Do a different franchise. Go out on a limb. Take a chance on a new franchise. Stop trying to do this under the Assassin's Creed banner. I don't know. So that's the rumor that's going on now, is Assassin's Creed Hex. I don't know. What do you think about all that?
Well, I've already jumped off the train on that one, and I'm probably not going to be. Yeah. And obviously, I'll play Resync when that launches, but they're going to have to show me something to get me back on board. And my last one, man, tying in with jumping off the train, is the lack of news for Mass Effect related material.
It's to the point that I'm nervous.
That's a fanboy thing. That might be a fanboy thing, maybe, but we've had fans calling for it. We had the little teaser video with Liara in the snow and finding the little N7 thing in the snow,
and that's been all we got.
Yeah, and then the stinger with Expanse Osiris Reborn. I'm sure that shit in their cornflakes just a little bit. Which I think it was meant more to be, we're paying homage to you. You're what inspired the Expanse. But since all you can turn out is dumpster fire shit boxes, we're going to make like a really cool game now. And it just really has bothered me that we haven't heard anything, man.
And me too. And I'm actually kind of surprised by that, because I thought I was already jaded and I was like, whatever, like I don't have any expectations anymore. We had Anthem, we had Dragon Age, everything that they've been cranking out has just been an absolute disappointment. Andromeda, so yeah, Mass Effect Andromeda, Dragon Age, and Anthem. We had 3 back-to-back, just massive disappointments. And so I was like, okay, I don't have any expectations anymore. I'm looking to Osiris, to sort of fill that void based off of what we've seen. I thought I was like kind of, but they've been so silent that even me in my jaded, just disengaged state, I'm still like, hey, you guys okay? You know, like I'm kind of like poking the body, be like, move, twitch, something. Like, give me something. Show me a sign of life. Because right now it just feels like they're just rolling over and being like, okay, you guys take the baton and just run with it. It feels like they're just rolling over. Like, we don't need much. Just literally a sign of life. Give us another teaser. It doesn't need to be gameplay or anything. Just give us another CGI teaser of something. Anything. Just something to say, hey, we're here. We're seeing what you guys are seeing, because not only do we have, Osiris Reborn, we also have Exodus, which, made its big sort of grand premiere. It had been announced before, but, in the Game Awards 2025, we got the big sort of trailer for it, and we got Matthew McConaughey, and we got, this sort of, you're the key to everything space opera thing going on. And I mean, both of those have strong Mass Effect vibes. And I mean, it looks like there is not just Osiris, but perhaps an entire line of RPGs waiting to try to take the belt that Mass Effect had, and they're just letting them do it.
I think this is going to be one. I know this is leaning into predictions, but I think this is going to be the year for space games.
Yes.
Especially now you've had Star Citizen with 13 years of early access for Star Citizen, and they're talking about launching their single player derivative that they've got going on. Squadron 42 has now been listed as fully playable with 40 hours of campaign material, and they're expected to make their 2026 launch date, which is crazy.
Believe that when I see it.
And I will too, man. But, having been one of the people that actually early adopted on Star Citizen and loves it, given PC and possibly console players a taste of that universe with what can only be described as the best cast ever put together for a game.
I mean, even that qualifier of for a game might not be necessary. It is an incredible cast for anything. A show, a movie,
start
a
the
game.
list, and dude, I could sit here for 30 seconds going through the cast names and not hit anybody that everybody doesn't know. That's insane by itself. And then, we've got The Expanse, and we've got this Exodus game is looking fantastic, man. And then we had playing off of 2025 with games like The Altars, and even though that technically wasn't a space game, it had those elements. Yeah, and it had those elements. I think this is going to be the year of space. I really do.
I 100% agree with that. I mean, we are seeing a bit of a sci-fi resurgence just in pop culture. I have realized. So not only do we have coming up in 2026 in games, which, and of course, it's 2026 and beyond. Who knows when Exodus? I'm sure it's not going to be 2026. That's probably going to be even further out. But we've got a ton of sci-fi games that are coming out, and in movies, we have, as far as movies and TV shows, so many coming out in 2026. Not the least of which is one that I'm super looking forward to, which is one of my favorite books, The Hail Mary Project. I cannot wait for that movie. I have such high hopes for that movie, and Ryan Gosling in it. It looks phenomenal. And but yeah, so I mean, it's a whole resurgence. Like sci-fi is becoming viable again. For a while, it had just kind of like been pushed under the rug, and I guess everything just kind of has that thing. We had zombies, and then that kind of went out of vogue, and now it's kind of coming back a little bit. I don't know, but yeah, sci-fi is going to be a big deal in the years to come in just pop culture for sure.
Definitely agree with that. But man, that's really all I had for letdowns for the year. So obviously looking forward to 2026.
Yeah, my biggest letdown of the year, and this we can kind of go off of this to kind of pull in other things, but the big thing was just kind of how we left it off with the Game Awards. It was, obviously, which we'll talk about. This year is or I guess no longer this year since 2026, but last year, the year of 2025. That's the entire lifespan of our show up to this point. We started our show in 2025 and, rode that through, and we can kind of revisit some of those things. But that as a result, just by the nature of that, this was our first Game Awards to live stream, and it was such a good time to talk to our chat and react live to these things that were going on and get Jeff Keighley's approval to not sue us or take down our videos for using their stuff. That was great. But as fun as all that was, it took me a couple of days to realize how lackluster the show was. I had such a good time hanging out with our viewers and just talking with stuff, but the show itself was a big letdown, not the least of which was the show ender, which was this high guard. And I thought for sure, like, there's going to be one more thing. I said it on the show, like, oh, that's not really the last thing. And it was. So the fact that we didn't get the one more thing that could have been all these things, I don't know. It was a big, we got some great things, but like you said, Mass Effect is one of those things that's still remarkably silent. We got nothing new on any Hideo Kojima projects, which is mind-boggling, especially given that he was in attendance. And if you would have, I would have bet good money that he was at least going to be on the stage.
Yeah.
But we got nothing there. So we got so many things that right there at the end of the year, we just didn't get, we didn't get much. And I don't know, I was bummed by that. And it seemed like, I don't know, so many people are concerned about AI. And we've talked about, there's some in AI in games that I am not in favor of and I do not think is ethical. And then there's some that I am totally fine with. Like we talked about with Larian, and I have no issues with the way that they're utilizing AI for productivity. But there was this whole thing about that. But what about gotcha games, man? Like, I think one of the biggest letdowns is just the insane resurgence and dominance of gotcha games and gambling in games. My son plays games, and thankfully he's even frustrated by it. But so many games, we used to have loot boxes, and because of these, other countries had passed laws on loot boxes being, considering that gambling, and so we don't do it. And so a lot of games, instead of trying to say like, okay, for this country we won't do it, but for this country, they'll just eliminate it. That's why it's such a big deal whenever one country passes something like that, where we can all benefit from that kind of thing. But in absence of loot boxes, we now have straight up gambling, like not even under the guise of a loot box. There are games that my son will play where one of which is a licensed My Hero Academia Battle Royale game.
Okay.
And they basically have essentially what would be like a battle pass, and they'll have new characters. And so if you want this new character, well, you have to earn what's called a 10 pull, which is basically 10 pulls of a slot machine. And you have to say, I want this character, and pull the slot machine to see if it gets it, essentially. And I mean, it's even more gambling than a loot box. And somehow that is running rampant, unregulated. And I don't know, it's crazy. So yeah, the rise of gotcha games in 2025 and just straight up gambling has been just a massive disappointment. One that I thought we had grown beyond, and in fact we have sank even further into.
Well, I'll tell you what's funny is and it's weird you brought this topic up tonight. I was thinking about gotcha games yesterday. I was like looking through just libraries of games, and there's a lot of games out there that are gotcha that aren't labeled that way.
Yeah.
I look at games like, and this is a game that's been around on PC and PlayStation for years, called War Thunder. It's a World War II all the way through modern era war game. You can be in tanks, you can be in planes, you can be in boats. Game is free to play. You download it and you get like one plane and one tank, and they'll be shitty, guaranteed. And the packs on these games are $59 to $79 a piece, and there are hundreds, and I mean hundreds of them, and they'll go on sale for like 30. And when you get these packs, you're only getting one tank or one plane.
That's unreal.
That is gotcha on a different level, man. I mean, that's insane gotcha.
Now, it's one of those things where it's like, for Star Citizen, I don't play it. I don't have a gaming PC.
Yeah.
I'm a console player right now. So I can't go at it from the point of view of a player. But I did, following it for all these years as it's been in development. I know a lot of people have had issue with the ships, and they will sell ships for hundreds, thousands of dollars. They'll have these limited time ships that you buy. And is that ethical? No, probably not. But at least you get what you pay for. At least you know what you are spending that money on, and you are getting it. To charge $60 or $100 or something more for a pack where you'll get a random tank or airplane, and it could be dog shit. Like, it's insane.
Yeah, and Star Citizen, what makes it cool? And you hear the naysayers and say what every ship in Star Citizen can be bought with in-game currency if you grind it out. And the grind's actually not that bad. There's people out there that have videos.
Battlefield 2, or sorry, was the Star Wars, not Battlefield, Battlefront. Battlefront 2 said the same thing.
Yeah. But you do have an entry point where you have to buy a ship. But you don't have to buy a $2,000 ship. You can buy a $30 ship, get in the game, take a half hour to grind out a couple million credits, and go buy you a really nice ship. Now, here's the downside. If that thing gets stolen or destroyed or chopped up for parts by some local rebel gang of actual people, it's gone. Now, the ones you buy, you get to keep them. You got insurance on them, you get to keep them. If you total it, they just build you a new one and ship it out. You go back and you pay your insurance fee and you get a new one.
Whoa. But wait. You have to. So you bought it, and you got it, and thank God you got it forever. But you still have to buy. You have to pay a fee. You have to pay a penalty. Yeah. To actually get it.
Yeah, because it's immersion, man. You got to pay to have it, rebuilt.
Obviously, because it would just people's immersion would totally be broken if they didn't have to pay for it.
Right.
That's what would break immersion.
That's what life out there in the verse is like, man. But still, though, I wouldn't classify it as a gotcha. Not like War Thunder or some of I can't even, all these, what are the Yonkai Roll and
dude, don't even
Impact and
too many to list. Too many to list.
But I
in the Game Awards,
topic this show should keep we should keep our eyes on it, man, because I think it's just going to get crazier. I mean, we're going to have so many clones by the end of next year of all the same game that it's going to be laughable, I think.
Yeah, and we'll touch a little bit on that in our predictions. But before we move on from our disappointments, were there any surprises in 2025, like pleasant surprises for you in the year that was in 2025?
Yeah, I did have a few. Well, the biggest announcement surprise for me was the Expanse game. I had no clue that was coming. I mean, I didn't see that even remotely. I had heard about the IOI purchasing the James Bond license, so we knew something was coming.
Yeah.
And I figured it was going to be based on the Hitman engine in a lot of ways.
Which, I mean, it had to be.
Yeah, but when we got that Expanse trailer, man, I was like, wait, what?
That was during Summer Games Fest, right? When they announced that?
Summer Games Fest. That's right. It was.
And that was I was absolutely blown away by that.
Yeah, and as far as stuff I played this year that really surprised me, Path of Exile 2, because I'm a huge fan of the isometric RPGs like Diablo, and except Path of Exile 2 is what Diablo 4 should have been. It felt more like a successor to Diablo 2 than Diablo 4 did. So huge fan of that. Big surprise for me this year. The amount of games that I got to experience in early access this year, I was really happy about as a PC guy. And just, I don't know, man. That's pretty much it for me, really surprise wise.
I'm gonna sound like a broken record here, but my biggest surprise on a lot of levels was the altars. I thought it was not only a fantastically crafted game and experience, and kind of a melding of a bunch of things. It melded sci-fi and base management and exploration and deeper topics whenever it came to psychology and all these depression and loss and grief and all sorts of things. It was just a really, I think it's a rare game. It's a rare game that you come across that can walk this tightrope so well. But also, I didn't think I would like it. Because it's base management. Now, I hate math. I don't like it. I'm not good at it. And it just drives me nuts. I don't like it. But what I do like is solving problems. And that's where, during this year, I found out, and I've been told this before, but that I have a very ADHD brain. I've never been officially diagnosed or whatever, but it's definitely there. Like, that's how my brain works, and I thrive at solving problems. And so at work, I am best utilized when I am solving problems. If I can solve a problem, that's where I have my real value. And even when I have to work weekends or overnights to solve these problems, I enjoy the problem solving. Then once it's done, and I just have to like maintain it and file a weekly report on it, I just don't feel like I'm doing anything because the problem's not there anymore. And anyway, so all that to say, with altars, even though I hate math or whatever, and so I never thought I would be good at resource management, it's not like the numbers are just a symbol. Like, you don't have to worry about the math. That's just a thing. Like, okay, the number's bigger, or the number's smaller. That's all you need to know. It really just becomes about high pressure problem solving in the altars, and that was something that I found that I not just enjoyed, but I thrived in. And to do these high pressure problem solving, not just for interpersonal relationships, but also whenever it comes to gathering resources or how to allocate those resources or things like that. So it was eye-opening on a whole bunch of levels for me personally, for me like mentally, and just the game itself as well, just the way that they melded these things together. That's the biggest standout surprise to me for 2025 was the altars. And I believe it may still be free on Game Pass. If you have Game Pass, do yourself a favor and try the altars. I think that you will be hooked. Anybody, if any of that sounds interesting, resource management, base management, exploration, sci-fi, clones, whatever, all of it, just try it. Give it a shot. It's incredible. And that was my biggest surprise. Was just how much I enjoyed the altars and how great of an experience it was.
Well, my unofficial biggest surprise, because it was unofficial, and we got a few episodes in a row of me bringing it up, Star Wars Genesis, without a doubt, and what that guy and now his team have done with that game.
He has a team now.
Well, they're not officially, like, he's got some like proxy guys that work on some asset stuff that he incorporates into his mod list. But even since the last time I brought it up, the amount of stuff that has been added, and we've got the 8.6 update that's about to come out. And I don't know if you remember, but when I first started talking about it, we were on 7.4.
Well, I was just about to ask, when did it start? Because it seems like he is updating that thing constantly.
And for us playing, it feels like it's not fast enough, but being the patient guy, I'm like, yeah, I don't care how long it takes you, dude. This is fine.
Well, especially being an early adopter, like, I'm sure you probably like hit the boundaries of these updates pretty quickly, because you've already like whenever you started, you play for a while, and then you basically touch the walls that he has built. And
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, now we have a point 0.3 update or whatever. And you're like, okay, good, new content. And then it takes you no time at all to just go from where you were to, the new content. So yeah, you are kind of pressed up against the glass, as it were, whenever it comes to the updates.
That's a great analogy. In that, like, there's weird things. I'll give you one quick example. I went and got the Mandalorian, did the Mandalorian secret side quest to get the Mandalorian armor and the Book of Boba Fett armor when I was like level 5. And because back then he didn't have anything level locked. Well, he now has a lot of things level locked. You can't even go on that mission until you're level 25. And looking back, I'm glad I've got that stuff. But dude, it took me 20, 30 times to get through that compound to get to that stuff. And then I had to get out with it. And if I could have gone at level 25, that would have been much better. But now the last remnants of Starfield stuff is completely gone. Like you won't, you can't even, there's nothing. Used to be, you could still find like a NASA coffee cup sitting on a desk. I would always like nitpick and try to, in my head, go, let's look in this room and see if there's anything Earth related. And I'd always find 1 or 2, 3 things. You can't do that now. It's insane.
Well, because I was actually thinking about this the other day, and I was kind of like wondering to myself if that game engine can still be viable. Like, can that make a good RPG anymore? Like, or because it was never very good at combat. Like, it's not good for combat. The way that engine doesn't work well. The combat was just a means to an end in that,
Yeah.
and it's always been about the narrative and the options that you have and all that stuff. But seeing what he was able to do with that engine and
Yeah.
modding it definitely makes me think, well, there is some more juice to squeeze out of this stone. Like we can get a little bit more out of it. I just don't know if they actually have the wherewithal to do it. I don't know if they have the fortitude or the desire to do what this guy has done to get more out of that engine. And I really wonder what that's going to look like when it comes to the next Elder Scrolls game.
Well, they're about to do a big Starfield update to 2.0. And they're going to add in things that fans, and this is one thing I love about them. They're actually listening to their fans. People always hated it when you flew to a planet, unlike No Man's Sky, where you can fly from space to the planet and land. There's always a stop with a load screen, and then it'll show you coming in and landing on the pad. That's gone now too. So this guy that's doing Genesis is trying to sync his updates with the Starfield update so he can employ the newest mechanics that Starfield has into his updates, which, are just the sheer amount of races you can pick as a starting character now are insane. Technically, I know we're talking about eventually doing a Star Wars D&D. You could go through the character creator just as a character builder in Genesis and come up with a pretty good version of who your guy's going to be. So it's kind of neat that way.
Well, so those are our disappointments in 2025, some pleasant surprises in 2025. So looking ahead to 2026, we kind of already mentioned that sci-fi is going to have a larger presence in both games and media in general, movies, shows, whatever. I think that's absolutely true. So do you have anything else to add on to the sci-fi aspect, or we can just move on to another prediction in 2026?
I do. And this, we've already brought the game up a couple times, but The Expanse: Osiris Reborn. I've got some concerns going into 2026. Because as a person that lives on both sides of the fence and plays console and PC, I actually care about what my friends get to play and what they're not getting to play. I'm worried this game's going to launch in early access and that we're not going to see the console port for like a year after. I'm worried they're going to use PC players as a test bed. And I always hate it when they do that because I also enjoy curling up in a recliner and playing on my PlayStation when I can, just as much as anybody else. And I hope it's able to launch concurrently on both platforms, because I want to be able to experience this with my friends.
Well, and they haven't even announced a release year yet, right? Like we don't even know if they're even aiming for 2026.
I've already heard 2027, which is where this concern stems from, because I believe they'll launch it in early access in 2026 on Steam, and that's what's going to happen. It just bothers me because then I'm going to want to play it, but part of me is not going to want to say a word about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and it's one of those things where I can also kind of sympathize for their position, because I don't know if we've said it on the show, but we've certainly talked about it amongst ourselves off air, where I'm not sure that I'm completely sure that they did not anticipate what the response was going to be. I think they were just like, hey, we're working on this thing. We think we got some good ideas. Let's just throw it in here at the Summer Games Fest and see what people think. And all of a sudden people are like, oh my God, this is the second coming of Mass Effect. And that's a lot of weight on your shoulders for, a small team that was just like, hey, let's throw some stuff.
And it was instant weight. It wasn't building weight.
Yeah.
We have no weight. Now we're on the floor.
It was literally like that day, was like that evening, that was all that the media was talking about, was this game. They were just like, oh yeah, go ahead and throw out this 30-second, minute and a half, whatever it was, trailer for this, Osiris Reborn. And it was within hours. It was everywhere. It wasn't even word of mouth. It was just everybody, everything, all over the place. All that you could see was this thing. And I think that they could not have anticipated, because I think if they would have anticipated that, they would have held off until the Game Awards. But I think they're just like, oh yeah, Summer Games Fest, low pressure, whatever, and they just threw it out there, and they got the opposite of low pressure. They got the most pressure I can ever remember being on a game studio in recent years. So I don't think that they were aware.
I bet you put 10 gamers in a room and asked them, name one Owlcat game before this Expanse announcement, and maybe 4 of them that are D&D nerds or Warhammer nerds would have been able to tell you Rogue Trader or Pathfinder, and that would have been it.
Like I had never heard of Owlcat games. I was aware of. I'd never played it, but I was aware of Pathfinder. But I had never heard of Owlcat games. I knew Pathfinder, but I didn't know who made it. So to go from that, and also what they are trying to do here is very different from what they have done previously. This is not the same kind of game. This is not at all this sort of like top-down tabletop style. Like they are doing this sort of over-the-shoulder third-person action RPG. Yeah. I mean, so not only is it a known entity with the Expanse, where you have a built-in audience that's already going to be very critical of lore, any mistakes that you might make in anything like that, but also you're doing what I have to assume is a brand new engine for them, or at least a brand new system that they've constructed for whatever engines they're familiar with. And then you just have this weight of all these other people that had never even known that you existed before. Probably more people that had never heard of them before are now breathing down their necks about this game than they ever had players previously.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, and they could have taken the easy route and made it an overhead turn-based tactics game.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Helldivers, where they were like, hey, they could have easily just made, they just redone what they did in the original Helldivers, but instead they went a completely different direction in Helldivers 2, and it paid off for them. They've had some growing pains, but man, it has really paid off for them, and I hope the same goes for Owlcat, and not even that. I mean, CD Projekt Red is another example of completely changing the game whenever they went from Witcher 1 and 2, which were very linear and action focused, and it was very on rails, to The Witcher 3, where they made one of the greatest
Oh, yeah.
RPGs ever, and it was their first time doing it. They just had a lot of time, enough money, and a lot of really creative people. So it
Yeah, and I
can.
thought.
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say
I
it
was
can
gonna
happen.
say,
They can do something crazy with it.
I hope Alcat looks at the Helldivers team as this is how you go from one genre to the next genre, and you're successful.
And from 20 people to like 400.
Yeah, and I'm sure Alcat is just growing it by leaps and bounds, trying to get this thing going. But yeah, that is without a doubt both my biggest excitement and concerns for this game as we move into 2026.
I have another prediction for 2026. I am predicting that games will still not be $80. We will still not make that $80 leap because even though GTA 6 is delayed, I think that will just give us a stay of execution on the $80 games. I think that people will continue to wait to see what GTA 6 does before they take that leap and be the one that breaks the seal on an $80 game because they, again, Randy, which I'll talk about Randy here in a minute, but Randy fell on his sword, not even saying, hey, we're going to do it or we might do it. He just said, hey, I don't know. I'm not the one that makes those decisions. And he got pilloried for this. And I think enough people saw that, not to mention Xbox, where they were like, oh, yeah, we're going to do $80. And then they're like, hey, we're going to maybe late after the holidays, we'll revisit it. So
we're gonna.
So I think that we are going to at least get most of the year staying where we are and not making that $80 leap because I think still, even though it's delayed, from earlier in the year until November now for GTA 6, I think the industry is still going to be looking for GTA 6 to know where they're going to go. Because if you release your game before GTA 6 and you market it 80, not only do you have to bear that scarlet letter and face whatever comes as a result and absorb those arrows, but then if GTA 6 comes in and it's at $60 or $70, like we have predicted, we've said $70 is where we think it's going to be. If you do your game, you're going to have to absorb the arrows, then GTA 6 is going to come in behind you and say, well, we're 70. Then you have no argument that your game was ever worth what you charged it. And if you come after, you have no case to make after that either. So I still think it comes down to GTA 6, and I think that people are just going to run scared, and we're still going to remain at our current, status quo. And we have a stay of execution for yet another year on $80 games.
Okay, so I'm so happy you brought up GTA 6 because one of my predictions for
Figured this was coming.
2026 is that Rockstar is going to tank the launch on GTA 6.
Oh, I thought you were just going to say that we're not going to get it in 2026.
That's also possible. That is one thing that could tank the launch.
Because you've been predicting that since 2025.
Yeah, but I think they're going to tank the launch. I think they're going to try to bring online on board the same day that they launch the main game, and I think it's going to tank. I don't think we have enough real estate to cover the amount of server usage they're going to need. And I think the launch is going to just severely suffer for that.
I don't know. They have never launched the online component with the primary game. So I don't know, especially given the fanfare around this one, the level of anticipation around this one. I don't know if this is the one where they try to say, I mean, obviously they've delayed it now numerous times for significant amounts of time. If you guys may recall, we were supposed to already be playing it by now. Whenever it was first announced, we should have already finished the campaign at this point. But now we're not going to get it until November. So that's if it launches on time. But I just don't think, excuse me, I don't think that they're going to launch the online component with the main game. I think that even if they were confident, I think that they're just like, they have no way of quantifying the level of desire, because I think it's going to be even more than they anticipate. Like I said, the level of anticipation for GTA 6 is somewhere around Half-Life 3 and the Second Coming of Christ. They're floating around that area, and they're not sure where in that vicinity they are. I don't think that they launch online right away. I think they see how many they sell, and then they sit back and they kind of strategize from there.
Well, listen, I don't think it's going to be up to them. I think the high level execs that just bought their 15th in real life mega yacht that they want to park at each of the most famous seaports in all the world, this one being Monaco, I think those guys are going to be like, look, we cannot go one day without selling shark cards. So, and that's a very amateurish way to explain what I'm saying, but I don't think they're going to have a choice financially of not launching the online component. So I really feel like that, and I hope you're right. I really do. Because I do want to see this game succeed. Because GTA is always in the games world, it is a life altering event when a GTA releases. And I do think they're going to be, making just absolute ungodly amounts of money.
Oh yeah.
I worry that the anticipation is so high and that the user desire is so high that they're going to have a hard time.
Yeah, I can understand that, and I hope that we do get it in November. I will be very bummed. It's one of those things where it's like, I think we all agree that, hey, if you need to delay the game, I would rather play a delayed game than a bad game. However, it still sucks when a game gets delayed. Like, obviously, do we want to play a better game? Yes, but it still sucks whenever a game gets delayed, especially whenever it's this level of game, this size, pedigree of game, and it's been delayed as many times as it has been now. Has it been delayed, 3 times now? Is that what we're looking at as far as delays go?
Yeah.
So it's and for obviously a sizable period, we were now delayed over a year from whenever we were supposed to initially have it. So it's a big one. It's a big one. Any other predictions on 2026, whether games or movies or media?
Games wise, I think Steam is going to be installing their money printing machine rather shortly once the Steam machine and not that whole pack is out and available. I think that is going to corner the market, especially for families and parents that don't want to venture into building a PC and or buying a PC, but the kid wants one because he's done with the console. That is going to be such a good mid-range option for people that I think it's going to sell like hotcakes, man. I really do.
The first time they did the Steam machine thing, it didn't work out.
Yep.
And I think it was just one of those things where they were just a little bit ahead of the times. And the planets just hadn't aligned for everything to work out well. I think now, like you said, I think it is the time. We now have both Xbox and PlayStation sending games to PC, so you can have console games that are on PC, and if you have a then console that can play PC games and use that as a way to get them on console, I think that's the perfect mix. And not only that, but my prediction would be that essentially kills Xbox. I think that, again, Xbox is going to be working on, as we've mentioned before, the reports have all been that Xbox is going to be working on essentially a affordable computer, an affordable gaming computer as a means to compete, whereas Steam is going to be making a more affordable but not budget gaming PC. So theirs would be more expensive. But I think that everything that we've seen, there have been positive moves for what Xbox has done. but there have been more negative moves as far as what Xbox has done. And I think more than anything, Xbox has demonstrated that they don't know what they're doing. They obviously have a strategy that incorporates PC and all that stuff, but they have made so many poor moves, not the least of which was whenever they said, like, hey, we're going to be doing $80 games first party, or they jacked up their Game Pass prices, or all these things. They're just not what they were. Not only have they given up on the console war, they have fallen on their own sword. They have created so many self-inflicted wounds, and now all of their games, or the vast majority of their games, it's released on PC. So if you can get a Steam machine, you've got the best of both worlds. You've got all the Xbox exclusives, you've got all these PC releases, and you can get PlayStation releases, 6 months, 12 months after they release on PlayStation for many of these, and you can play all of those. But if you have a PlayStation and a Steam machine, you don't need an Xbox and you don't need a gaming PC unless you're an absolutely dedicated, PC gamer. But basically, any of those scenarios, in no world do you need an Xbox. There is no argument that Xbox can make that you need an Xbox, because all of the exclusives, that's the whole thing with consoles. PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox before, the only reason that you picked one over the others was the exclusives. And now the exclusives aren't exclusives, they're console exclusives. And yeah, if you can get those elsewhere, there's no argument to be made that Xbox is a better choice.
Not to mention the fact that you can throw a Steam machine and a 15 or 16 inch portable monitor in a carry-on bag and travel with a PC now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And you just, even if you don't want to do that, you've still got the Steam Deck, which can play a pretty healthy number of those PC games in a handheld format. Perfect. You can play it on the bus or whatever. So yeah, I think 2026 will be the end of Xbox as we know it. I mean, it'll still be a brand ongoing, but it's not going to be, there's not going to be any sort of console war or anything like that whenever it comes to Xbox anymore. This is Xbox's exit from the console war.
Absolutely, man. 100% agree with you.
Do you have anything else as far as 2026 predictions?
Well, I think Fallout, the television show, is going to sweep at the Emmys.
Ask them to catch up on some Fallout, but I mean, everything that I've seen has been. I mean, the first season was stellar. The first episode was incredible. Yeah, I would love to see them get the love they deserve.
I'm 4 episodes in, and I'm telling you, this is Khalil Namjani's character was introduced last night. Very, very good. Funny, of course.
And jacked.
They did some plot line hopping last night that they hadn't done. Like, we finally got to see where the Brotherhood of Steel thing is going on. It's part of its storyline. The one guy that used to be a scribe for the Brotherhood of Steel that got shot through the neck and became a ghoul.
I was going to ask if he shows up yet.
He's got his own storyline now, and he is fantastic. I mean, it is a fantastic storyline. I have a feeling you're going to have fun with that when they show it, but it's like episode 3, I think, 3 or 4. Obviously, Goggins just nailed it. They're doing so much. They're doing something that games need to do, which is listen to their fans. They're doing so much fan service to the millions of people that love Fallout
and
New Vegas.
They did it after not ignoring them to begin with. They already listened to fans, and they paid respect to the source material, and then they kept listening. They started from a point of listening and showing respect, and then they continued to listen, as opposed to throwing up the middle finger to your established audience and then only consulting them for their opinion after your ratings sank.
Yeah, so we got, speaking of fan service, we got some fan service minor critters that you would expect to see in any Fallout game. Those were there last night.
We get big cockroaches?
I don't want to get into it. I don't want
Okay.
to spoil anything for you.
Okay.
Because when you see what I'm talking about, and you're going to immediately know that, hey, this is what he was talking about. You're going to be like, holy crap, that is awesome. And then obviously the power armor scenes are great. They're always good. Some of the weapons they introduced, the power fist, the big old blocky power fist thing, and the thunder hammer with the flame on the end of it, so you get the more powerful hit. Really cool stuff, man, to see it on screen. And I can't wait to see where the rest of this season goes. But the fan service to New Vegas is just unbelievable. So anyway.
Well, whenever it comes to gaming properties that have been spun off into broader media, one of the predictions that I would make, and we probably won't even get this season in 2026, who knows, but I do believe that the third season of The Last of Us will likely be the death knell. It will be this will be the one that absolutely bombs, because the second one, you still got some people that you could trick into watching it because they didn't know what was coming. Now, not only have you already done it, they saw what was coming, they got it, you tricked them, they showed up, and then they left, but they ain't coming back. And season 3 will be either the absolute swan song and they're done with it, or because it's HBO, who knows, they may just drag that carcass behind them for one more season after that, just to wrap it up and close it out, and just enjoy the the insanely small number of people that watch it. But season 3 will be the last time we ever see headlines or anything like that about The Last of Us. No more will you have these headlines, like these clickbait headlines that are trying to get you to click on it because of the episode that happened last night, because nobody cares what happened last night whenever it comes to season 3. They stopped caring in season 2, and they're going to care even less in season 3.
Well, speaking of that, we're also entering 2026 as our first year Stranger Things-less, as it came to an end on New Year's Eve, which I don't know how I feel about it yet. I don't want to get into it until you've seen it. It was an interesting show. I enjoyed it. I liked it more than I didn't like it. There are aspects of it that were just mind-blowingly numb creative decisions that I was like, what was the boardroom what was the table read like for this episode? Did somebody not raise a hand and go, hey, whoa, we're in the middle of something big here. Do we really need to, what are we doing? But as far as storylines and closure, and nailed it. Really did a great job. Nostalgia's still hitting on every high point as an old guy that was technically a couple years younger than the kids in that show are. They nailed all that stuff still. So really good story.
That is one thing,
yeah,
though,
man.
whenever, again, I haven't even finished the first episode because it just didn't lock me in the way that previous seasons had yet.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that it's not their, well, I guess it kind of is their fault because of how long it took them to get this season made. But my ability to stretch my disbelief that these are not adults, like these kids.
Yeah.
Like for me to put my blinders on and be like, sure, these are kids that are still in school or just graduated or whatever they're supposed to be.
Plus, you're a dad of a kid that age. That's going to affect your viewpoint.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's just like, man, that's rough. But I will finish it. I will finish it for sure. I just haven't gotten to it yet. But I don't know what do you think? I do know that they're working on some sort of animated thing as well that's going to kind of carry on. Netflix has some sort of like animated thing they're going to carry on for Stranger Things, like Stranger Things 1985 or something like that.
Haven't heard that.
Where they go back. So
I know whatever the Duffer Brothers had planned on Netflix got canceled this past week. I don't know what it was, but it got canceled. But yeah, I think they ran their course and they ended on a good note. I will say that. Just some really weird design decisions.
Well, that's good. I'm glad though that they ended better than normal because so many just cannot close that door.
Yeah,
Like so many of these massive hits, they just cannot wrap everything up in a satisfactory manner. That's one of the reasons that I think that Breaking Bad, I still say, is the greatest scripted TV show in history because it nothing that it did, and whether you're interested in the storyline or not, whether it's something that appeals to you or not, the great thing is that there was nothing left hanging. Everything that it promised, it delivered, and then at the end, everything was wrapped up and it was signed with a bow and it paid off. And they've done such great things with it. So I think it's one of the greatest shows ever, even if it's not something that is in your particular wheelhouse. But we have seen far more shows fall flat on their face at the finish line than we have seen actually cross it successfully. And I'm glad that it sounds like, based off of, I haven't seen it yet, but based off what you're saying, that Stranger Things, they might not have come across that finish line with their hands raised high, but at least they crossed it.
yeah, and like I said, there's more good than bad. Um, what worries me is like I know we have the next season of House of the Dragon, and I think where they get lucky is that most people did not read the book that it's based on, Fire and Blood. Most people had read the OG books, Song of Ice and Fire, but I'm worried because it feels like we're already at the end, based on reading the book, and I feel like they're racing too fast towards the end. But lucky for them, I think most fans don't know that. So, but I mean, we're obviously moving into, all the dragons are on their sides, and the only thing left is the Dance of Dragons.
Well, I think also luckily for them, they have Matt Smith. And he is a phenomenal talent, and whatever he is in, he certainly elevates it.
Oh, dude, Matt Smith is. I mean, I hated. I mean, they had to do it in The Crown because they aged everybody up every season. But the 2 seasons that he was in The Crown were excellent, playing King Philip consort. But and then of course Doctor Who. He's a lot of people's favorite Doctor Who. Him and David Tennant both.
Yeah, he was actually the one. Like, I started watching Doctor Who after he had taken over. I went ahead and watched the Tennant stuff and the guy before, Christopher. No, what was the guy? The guy from Gone in 60 Seconds. Eccleston. Yeah. Yes, thank you. Yeah, Christopher Eccleston and him. But whenever I got to Matt Smith, he was actually my favorite. I really liked him, and I was bummed that he only had a pretty limited run. He had a pretty limited number of seasons compared to David Tennant, which I thought David Tennant was great. But Matt Smith was actually my favorite. And then once it got to the old guy, that was where I fell off, and thank God I did, because I would have been absolutely livid given the direction that it ended up going. But yeah, Matt Smith, I absolutely adored his seasons and his version of the Doctor. I like Matt Smith, and as you and I have both said, maybe it's a hot take. I didn't have a big problem with Morbius. I enjoyed it, and I thought Matt Smith did well in his role. I mean, he elevates anything he's in. So it's like, was it the perfect movie? No, it certainly had plenty of issues, but I enjoyed it. It was good. It was a good watch.
Yeah, and he's going to be the antagonist in the Ryan Gosling Starfighter movie in the Star Wars universe. So,
well, Whitney and I even
one.
just over the weekend we watched Caught Stealing, which was him along with Austin Butler and Zoe Kravitz. So yeah, that was a fun time. Although there was some stuff in that movie that I should have seen coming, given the director. And I was like, well, I should have seen that coming, and I didn't, and that's my fault. So, yeah, but it is worth the watch.
But yeah, man, that's where I'm looking forward to 2026, man. So far, at least.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't have a ton of stuff there. One thing that I did want to say though is in 2026, I am still determined to get even brief an interview with Randy Pitchford. Randy, come on, man. Just come and talk to us for a second.
This is the year.
I have sent
I feel
so many emails to Gearbox's like press and all, or the people that manage the press, and I have gotten nothing back. So if you're listening, anybody, whether you're connected to Gearbox or not, if you can help us, please do send Randy a message or something. Let him know that we want to talk to him. We love him. We're fans. We've had our fun, but I think that we have been very fair. I mean, we talked about how much we enjoy his games and him as a person. So obviously, we are not ill-intended. He's local. I just really want to talk to him and get him on here. I think we'd have a good time. So, 2026, we got to make it happen. We have to get Randy on here, even if it's just for like 5 or 10 minutes. We got to get him.
That would be cool, man.
If you know an email or something like that, hit me up. I have
his neighbor.
No doubt. I have or no lie. I have considered getting like one of the Twitter blue checks, like one of the upgraded, just so I can DM him, because I've tried to DM him and you can only DM him if you're whatever upgraded thing. I have considered getting 1 month of that just so I can DM Randy and be like, bro, come on, man. So yeah, Randy Pitchford, Hardcore Casual, 2026. I am determined to make it happen.
All right.
And speaking of all that as well, I also just kind of wanted to reflect on where we came from, because we started, as we mentioned, we started our show in 2025, and we are almost at a year of doing the show. But
yeah,
to see where we started and how far we've come, I mean, at the risk of sounding, I don't know, arrogant or self-important, I'm very proud of what we've done. I think that we've done a lot, and our community has grown, and we're obviously still an incredibly small channel. But like I was talking to Jay before the show, to look at where we started, you know, we're right now at 152 subscribers. And is that large? No. That's, in the grand scheme of things, that is a remarkably small channel. You put us up against the Mr. Beasts or whatever, it's like those, whenever they try to show you the size of the universe and they start with the Earth, and then it just keeps going crazier and crazier, and then you can't see it anymore, and then it keeps going. That's us, you know? But whenever we started off with like 4 subscribers, that is exponential growth for us. And, you know, even if we never become, you know, monetized or whatever, add too many, it's been such a good time, and we've met so many cool people, and built relationships with people in the chats and all that stuff. It's been so fun. We have grown so much in our presentation. We still got plenty of room to grow. We have so much that we, you know, are still going to improve, working on improving, taking active steps to improve. But to go from where we were before, I'd never edited anything. I had no idea how to deal with lighting, nothing. And to be where we are now, I'm just incredibly proud of the progress that we've made in our 50 episodes, plus a few ghost episodes that don't really count.
Yeah, because we still have those Garage Days Revisited episodes that have never seen the light of day.
And one hyperfocus that I would actually like to revisit that concept.
Things we want to do in 2020, we definitely need to get some more of those.
Yes, some more hyper-focus episodes.
Yeah, try to have 2 or 3 of those at least.
Which for new viewers, like the hyper-focus episode, and again, we've only done one, and it actually went a completely different way than what we intended on, but it was actually a lot of fun. It, like that sort of derailment was actually really interesting. But the whole concept there was we want to do these hyper-focus episodes where instead of, you know, this thing where it's like news and this general conversation about gaming and media and things like that, we would pick one thing out and we would talk about that. And at the time, we did a lot of broader stuff too, where we were fascinated by conspiracy theories and things. I mean, we still are, but we wanted to train the algorithm to give us to the right people on the general stuff. But we focused on, it was initially supposed to be focused on Egypt, and then some news stories that have been around that. Anyways, we ended up focusing more on astral projecting and CIA documents and things like that. But it was actually a lot of fun, and we want to do more of that. So any suggestions on hyper-focused episodes, let us know. But always a good time, and we certainly want to do more of that in 2026 as well. But yeah, just where we started to where we are now, super proud and very happy with what we've done, and excited to see how we continue to grow and evolve throughout this year too.
It's a staggering improvement, and the presentation, the way you've got it set now, is excellent, man. And I've enjoyed as the little short videos pop up in my feeds on various apps. I'm like, that one's really good. I mean, the cut. Look at that cut. Like, I was watching the one last week on AC, Assassin's Creed, whatever. And like you would say something and then there would be my reply. I could tell some of those weren't my actual reply, but they fit. So it made it really funny. And being able to do that's a talent. So congratulations, man. Those were really good.
Well, thank you. I don't know, the flattery kind of derailed my train of thought there. I didn't know what to do with that, but I appreciate that. Thank you so much, sir. Yeah, it's oh, that was the thing I was going to say, is that, we still have all of our videos are still on the channel, and so you can watch them. I don't recommend it, because it's one of those things that even now, whenever I go back and watch those, it's on one hand it's encouraging, because I can see, like, this is where we started, and to see the difference in the presentation that we have now and what we've been able to do is really, really cool, and I'm super happy about it. But it's also one of those things where I'm like, man, I hate it. Whenever I look at it, I'm like, why did I say this? Why did I put it this way? Why didn't I like this different? Or I don't know. I nitpick it, and it drives me crazy. So on one hand, it's kind of like a cool benchmark, or a thing to judge our current product against. But on the other hand, it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy. So would I recommend watching the stuff from episodes 1 through whatever? No, but it's there, and I'm very proud of where we came. So thank you for everybody that has watched. Even if you just you clicked on us and you watched us for 50 seconds once. I rest assured that I did see that number go up, and I did notice you, even if I never got to see your username, never read a comment or whatever. Because if you didn't leave one, if you left a comment, I have read it and responded to most of them, unless you were a jerk. And a couple, even if you were a jerk, responded to a couple of those. But anybody that's been any part of this whole little journey, I appreciate it.
All right.
All right. So I don't know where we want to fit it in. We're obviously just kind of feeling our way through stuff here. So I did watch Avatar, Fire and Ash. And obviously, as we said, Jay is a big anti-Avatar guy. And
I'd like to thank you guys, and you have a great evening.
I will say I went and I saw it with my son, and I loved it. I enjoy the Avatar movies. I liked 1. I liked 2. Avatar 3 is hands down my favorite of the 3, and it's not even close. And
did your son enjoy it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he absolutely loved it.
Damn. I had such high hopes for him.
No, he absolutely loved it, and we've been talking about it since we saw it last night, and we've been talking about it back and forth since then. And I've seen a lot of negative stuff focused on Avatar, and a lot of it, I think, and I'm not to say like some elitist point of view where it's like, well, they just don't understand what was being, what they were trying to do. But I think a lot of people were going at it with the wrong expectation, where they talk about how the it's these big set pieces and it's these battles and they just it's one leads into the other and then what really gets accomplished and all that stuff. And if you go into it because you saw the trailers and you saw these battles, and don't get me wrong, there are tons of battles and mind-blowing set pieces for these battles. I mean, we're talking like Lord of the Rings, like Return of the King level insanity for battles. And those are there. But if you expect, if you're not paying attention to the quiet moments between those, I think that you will kind of get lost in it, because the driving force behind Fire and Ash is very character driven, and obviously the big battles and all that stuff plays into it, but it's not the main point. It's not the point of the story. And I think one of the reasons that allows this to tell these really nuanced stories for a lot of characters is the fact that we do have the two previous movies, and those two previous movies are long. They're long. The first movie was like, what, 2.5 hours long or something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Then the second one was like 3 hours. This one's closing in on 3.5 hours long. They're long movies, but these characters have been established, and now we get to see these characters that we no longer have to introduce. Obviously, there's some characters that do get introduced. There's some new characters for sure. But many of these characters that have been with us through 2 or at least 1 movie, we don't have to do the intro period, and we can start focusing on the more the smaller versions of their character, the quieter versions or the quieter aspects of their character. And we have things with these characters that we have seen already. Like these characters, all these characters, they have character flaws. Even Jake Sully, the main protagonist, he has character flaws. And all of these different people have these character flaws, and they're flaws that we have been made aware of throughout the first 2 movies. But in this movie, we actually get to see those flaws not just on display, but have an impact. And they're impacting the relationships that they have with other people. And they're impacting those to the level that we feel it. We are able to see these flaws, and these flaws are brought to the surface to the point that they're causing issues, and we can feel a certain way about it. So this is mainly, I think the story is about the character flaws that we have known were there for a multitude of characters that we have followed throughout these first 2 movies. And we are now seeing those flaws manifest in a way that requires that they be addressed. And we get that in large part. We get those big flaws that have become glaring issues be addressed. And I don't know, I really enjoyed that aspect. So it has, like I said, mind-blowing battles, and it's an incredible visual spectacle. But I think that if that's all you're going for, you're really missing out, because the quiet parts of the movie, the character-driven parts of the movie are, I think, the best parts of the movie, and I loved it. I still think it's dumb that Spider is a white kid in a loincloth and dreadlocks that paints himself blue. I think that's dumb. But outside of that, I adored it, and I think it was a fantastic film. So if you have aligned with me, I was going to say, if you have aligned with me on any of my previous film reviews, listen to me here and go see Avatar: Fire and Ash.
First off, I have seen both of the other 2, so I can, realistically go see the third one. And I'm happy you enjoyed it, man.
I would recommend going. I love
people seeing things that they enjoy and actually enjoy it. So I'm happy for you there, and I probably will watch it when it comes on digital. And I know that's probably the wrong way to see it, but that's probably what I'll do.
Well, see, that's I so many things I would rather do that, where I'm like, I'll just wait till it comes out on home, and I'll watch it on my home screen. So is it crazy to see it on a big screen? Yeah, for sure. Like I said, there's plenty of spectacle here, and it's impressive to see on a big screen. But I'm not going to be one of those people where it's like that's the only way that you should be seeing this movie is on a big screen or on an IMAX or whatever. Like, no, that's ridiculous. I will say though that the technology that they use, like Whitney and I had watched the first two films just recently, and seeing the leap. Obviously, it was a massive leap from the first film to the second one because there was like a 12, 14 year, whatever it was, span between the two when the Way of Water came out in 2022. But then between Way of Water and this one, it is also a leap. And to look, especially if you look at the first one to the third one, it's crazy the technological leap that has taken place and how convincing like skin textures are on these CGI characters and how well they translate the mo-capped performances of the actors that play these roles. For example, Una Chaplin plays the role of Varong, which is the new like antagonist. She's the crazy witch-looking chick from the Na'vi that you see on all the trailers. And Una Chaplin is Charlie Chaplin's granddaughter, and she does an absolutely stellar job in this role. And the way that she moves as Varong, even itself, like she is the only character that moves that way. So you can see the silhouette of Varong moving, and you know it's her. It's really impressive the nuances that these actors are able to implement into these characters from the motion capture and especially the facial capture. It's really staggering the degree to which that technology has advanced and the way that it's utilized here.
Well, that's awesome, man, and I will definitely watch it. Like I said, so and then I'll give you my unadulterated review. So anyway.
Feel free to disagree with me in the comments, but I enjoy it. And much like Jay, I'm always that way where it's like there's certainly games and movies and stuff like that I'll joke around and talk trash about, but I'm never going to be upset with somebody just for liking something that I don't. Like you said, like if somebody likes something I don't, good for you. I'm glad you like it. I don't. Like people that, as we found out, there are, I mean, it seems like they're a bit outnumbered, but there are some people that really love the current state of Assassin's Creed. And do I agree that those games are worth being loved? No, I do not. But I'm very glad that you enjoy those games because it's not fun on this side of it. I would much rather be in a position where I loved the current state of Assassin's Creed because that's certainly an easier position to be in than this one here where everything you look at is just like, grinding. So... yeah.
No, I'd much rather like on it than hate on it. I know that.
Yep. So that's my feedback there. I could have spoiled stuff, but I still don't want to. I want you to see it and kind of see it with some fresh eyes. But
okay.
Yeah, it was great. So again, if you've been if you have heeded my words on any other previous recommendations, if you think that you align with my particular tastes and you're on the fence about Avatar Fire and Ash, go see it.
Okay. I will.
Cool. Anyway, what else you got? Now that we're talking media.
I don't really have anything movie-wise. I finished the Mighty Nine, which is the second iteration of Critical Role's series. They did Vox Machina before. And then this Mighty Nine next. And
now I know that Vox Machina was based on a campaign that they did on the YouTube channel, right? Like they just did a...
Yes, both of them are.
Okay, that was going to be my question, was if the same thing was going on for this. Okay.
Yeah, and of course, Matt Mercer plays like 58 roles, but as I mentioned before the show, your boy Alan Cumming has a role. Ming-Na Wen is in it. Jonathan Frakes is in it. Nathan Fillion is in it. And you will know who they are as soon as they start talking. All kinds of Easter eggs to both Critical Role and to roles that those actors have played. But it was
do they do any Nightcrawler
story.
nods for Alan Cumming?
Yeah, there is. I'm not spoiling anything for you, but
Okay.
the biggest one I saw that I thought was funny, and I'll bring it up, is Nathan Fillion's character is kind of a broker. I don't want to tell you what kind, but he hires the Mighty Nine to go do something, and they have to go into a gala. And if you'll remember the Firefly days, for all you Firefly fans, there was an episode where Mal and Kaylee went to a shindig. And Kaylee had on a pink fluffy dress, and he had on this suit with a sash. And in that episode of Mighty Nine, the two characters that go to the gala are dressed exactly like Mal and Kaylee were in that episode, the shindig. So I thought that was a cool little homage, if you will. But the one thing I will say is, unlike the season finales on Vox Machina, this show had an absolutely abrupt season finale cliffhanger. And I was like, wait a minute, is that it? I mean, that was that bad. I was literally like, wait, what? And that was it. So,
See, I hate that. I hate that. And it's because it's backfired.
So do I.
It's backfired on some shows. And so there was a show that was on Netflix, and it got 2 seasons. It was called Warrior Nun. It was based off of a comic.
I watched Warrior Nun.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. But the second season ends on a massive cliffhanger. Like, the whole season has been building up to this confrontation. And, you know, you're watching, and all of a sudden, like, oh, here we go. Like, we have the members of each, opposing force walking towards one another in the fucking courtyard. And you're like, here we go. And it's like, fade to black. All right, roll credits. And that was the end of season 1. And I was like, are you kidding me? So then they hadn't even been renewed for season 2 at this point. So it was like they were and I've seen numerous other shows do this since that, where whenever you're in a situation where you have not yet gotten additional seasons guaranteed, you just do this massive cliffhanger to sort of artificially, well, maybe not artificially, but through rage, engage your viewership to petition on your behalf to Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever to continue it. And it worked once. And so they got a season 2 for less money. So much less money, in fact, that season 2 starts after the conflict that was about to start in season 1. So season 1 built towards a conflict that we never see. There's a gap because they didn't have the money whenever they got renewed to actually film that confrontation. So it's like, okay, well, this is the aftermath. And then they do it again, and then season 2 ends on a even bigger cliffhanger. And then Netflix does not renew. And now we're just left that way forever. Now, granted, I expect that we will not have that issue with Mighty Nine. I assume that Critical Role probably has X number of seasons already guaranteed. But I've been burned now many times by those cliffhangers, and then they just never come back.
My least favorite type of cliffhanger is when you have a cliffhanger, and then the next season comes back, and they don't immediately address the cliffhanger. In fact, the episode will start, and it'll be like 6 months later, and it'll be like the 3rd or 4th episode before they go back and address the cliffhanger from the previous season.
Yes, I do. I despise that as well. And if you end one season on a cliffhanger, and let's use it in its literal sense, and your protagonist is hanging off of a cliff, right?
Yeah.
Season 2 better start on his fucking fingers wrapped over the edge of that cliff. Yeah.
Agreed.
Show me where we are. Like, pick up immediately following that ending. And yeah, so many times they don't. And it's like we get like 15 minutes in where we're like, are we going to address it? Like, are we going to talk about it?
Yeah. Well, using your analogy of an actual cliffhanger, Mighty Nine ended with the guy hanging on the cliff, and then right before the credits roll, he let his hand go.
They Christopher Nolan'd you.
Yeah. Really, really, really bad. So yeah, looking forward to obviously season 2. Love every character is well thought out. I mean, Mercer doesn't put anybody at the table unless these characters are, on point anyway. So, just looking forward to it. But great show.
Well, I definitely need to watch that. There's so many things that I need to watch. I'm so backlogged on all this stuff.
I feel you.
And every time I take PTO, I always think like, okay, I've got a week off. I'm going to be able to catch up on so much.
Yeah.
None of that happens. And it feels like, in fact, I have even less time than I had whenever I was working or something like that. And I've got so many things that I watch. And I will, in 2026, I will do my best to catch up on my backlog of things. But it'll be a work in progress. But do you have anything else that we want to throw in? Because again, like we mentioned at the top, this is given just the way the news cycle works. This episode was always it's going to be light on news and heavy on conversation. So that's what we've been leaning on is conversation and reflection.
And I do not, man. I'm tapped. So
all right. Well, I do want to let you guys know. I know that I have not. The backdrop is still pretty barren. Because I've got stuff that can go on those shelves, but I don't know if I would because it's not going to translate because they're very small. So I don't know. It's a whole thing. And Whitney got me some things, so we have some. I've got some stuff to hang up there. Thank you, Whitney, and have this light up little thing here. So I'm working on it. I was going to try to get all that hung today, but there were issues. But I'm working on my backdrop. Jay's got some surprises going on as far as that goes. We're all. Yeah. We're diving into our bags and trying to get some big things done there. But yeah, it's been a wild year. I thank everybody so much for it, and I thank Jay for being along the ride with me. And one of the big things is obviously buying this house, and then Jay had to shoulder the weight there for a bit of doing all the prep work for the show whenever I just didn't have the time, and
I was glad too.
Well, I appreciate it, man. It's been so. Yeah, thank you to Jay for being on this journey with me, and thank you to everybody. Like I said, everybody that's had any interaction with us at all, even if it's just watching us for 30 seconds before deciding that we're not for you. We appreciate you there. People like System that have sent us so many great words and really encouraged us along the way. It means the world to us. We do this because it's fun. We do this because we enjoy it, and it's really fulfilling creatively. And I don't know. It's a good time, and I just can't thank everybody enough for the year that we've had, and it means the world to me. So thank you so much for being here, and we intend to be here for a long time to come.
Thank you all.
So, all right. Well, unless you got anything else. We can wrap it up there, put a bow on it, and go into 2026. What do you think?
Let's do it, man.
All right. Thank you, guys, and we will see you throughout the rest of the year. And, talk to us. Let us know what you think in the comments. Give us your predictions, any of the things that you're disappointed with in 2025 or were surprised by, any predictions that you got going into 2026 or anything like that. Talk to us. Let us know. And, we will see you guys next week. Thank you again.
I must bid you adieu. Goodbye. Mwah. And good